Hello, good
It's
morning.
lovely to see you in this capacity, not grilling you down the line, but just having a chat about the newspapers. And I've realised I don't even have my list here, so I need to refer... Let's share a list.
Let's share.
I've left it in the green room.
Let's share the list.
Obviously, on the front of all of the pages, front pages, is this extraordinary picture of Trump and Zelensky at the Vatican. I mean, just pictorially, it's astonishing. But also... we think that there would be brush-bys and things. I don't think we anticipated a 15-minute chat between these two world leaders, did we?
No, and you're right. These photos, they are absolutely extraordinary. The front page of every newspaper, probably the photo of the year, really, and it just shows you why photography or photojournalism is still so important. This is definitely a photo that will go down in history. Let's hope that this discussion between Donald Trump and Zelensky does lead to peace. We don't know where we're going to get to. Of course, Donald Trump has also put out this message on his own social media channel, now being very critical of Putin, which has been surprising because he's been, people have different opinions on this, but people think he has been a bit too close to Putin's view on these matters, don't they? And it does look like the White House is shifting. But look, there's been a lot of false dawns in this, hasn't there, in recent weeks and months. So let's see where we get to. But we all hope we can get peace in that part of the world. It
looks more cordial, at least, than the Oval Office scenes that played out weeks ago. What's your analysis of Trump? Because when you were in the Labour Party, you weren't as vocally critical of Trump as others.
No, because, I'm always much more of a pragmatic kind of guy and a much more diplomatic sort of guy on these issues. Look, I think... It seems pretty clear to me that Keir Starmer has built a rapport with Donald Trump. He does seem to have an in there, which I think is a bit surprising. I remember coming on, programmes ahead of Donald Trump's election with interviewers putting to me that it was all going to be very difficult for Keir Starmer. This is going to be terrible. Keir Starmer's worked really hard to build up a good working relationship. They hope, the Downing Street hope they can get progress on trade and deal with this issue of tariffs because... in the end, tariffs is not going to help anybody, really. I think Donald Trump is wrong if he thinks that tariffs is going to be good for his economy. Yeah. I think in the end it's going to hurt working people in the US, and it's certainly going to hit our economy as well. So, look, let's hope that our government can get a better deal on these issues.
Do you think we'll get a trade deal?
I think we'll make progress. There's different versions of, there's different levels of... intricacies in trade deals. And we might not necessarily get a full-on trade deal, but let's hope we make progress. The US is an important partner for us. We do export services there. But look, we've also got to think about the EU. This is not a message to say let's undo Brexit, not at all. But
let's hope not.
No, it's not. But we obviously export a lot to the EU as well.
True.
So you've got to get a deal which works for all of the trading partners that you have.
All right, let's move on to another story in the Mail on Sunday. Lord Ashcroft has written yet another book, Red Flag. It's about your former Labour colleagues, and apparently Angela Rayner, who I know you're good friends with, is repeatedly threatening to quit because she doesn't think that the government can meet its 1.5 million housing target.
Well, I would eat my hat if Angela Rayner
we will get you a hat served on a silver platter.
Quit the cabinet. I think I'm a big fan of Angela Rayner. I think she's fantastic. I am friends with her as well, but I think she's brilliant, and she's got a big agenda. She's got to build houses, and yes, that is a very stretching target. 1.5 million.
Will you achieve it? Otherwise it's another broken promise, isn't it? And you've accused the Conservatives of broken promises.
Well, they've got to achieve it. It's not me anymore.
I know it's not. I say by association, Jonathan, as you are still really a Labour man through and through, and who knows, you may stand again.
Let's see what happens there. I've not had a good record on that recently. But look, this government's got to build houses. There'll be so many of your viewers who are just trapped out of the dream of home ownership because we've been so useless as a country for years now at building houses and helping people onto the problem.
Yeah,
of course,
isn't it?
It's a long-term problem. This government wants to fix it. It's going to get rid of quite a lot of the bureaucracy, the red tape around the planning rules, which has held back house building and infrastructure, infrastructure building. What this government's got, which the Tories try to do some of this, but of course a lot of the Conservative MPs opposed it themselves. So I think it was Boris. I can't remember if it was Boris.
All MPs opposed it.
Yeah, but these Labour MPs,
constituencies.
these Labour MPs will vote through these planning changes, and we'll get houses built.
So we don't think Angela Rayner's going anywhere fast.
I'll eat my hat.
We will be serving you a hat if it happens, just to say that. Let's move on to your friends in Reform and the Tories, because we've got a couple of stories here. Well, Kemi Badenoch's coming in shortly. She's going to be in the studio after you. She's done quite a few interviews, so she's on a charm offensive, I would suggest. The polls are
more offensive than charming, I suspect, but anyway. Bum.
Good luck seeing her in the green room on the way out. And secondly, we have a situation where the polls don't look particularly favourable for the Labour Party either, for the local elections. Reform are storming ahead. We now hear from the Sunday Telegraph, £1 million Reform donation. It's a defection from the Tories to Reform. A donor has given them £1 million. You've got to admit that of all of the political leaders, Farage has got the momentum, hasn't he?
Yes. I think Reform are going to do really well.
Do you think they'll hoover up Labour voters as well as Tories?
So when you look at the polling, in my day job now, we do a lot of polling. There's no question that there are Labour voters shifting to Reform, no question. Yeah. But it is still, the lion's share is still coming from mainly ex-Tories. So whereas it's definitely a problem for Labour, it really is, but it's existential for the Tories.
But what kind of Labour voter do you think is opting for Reform? Is it your kind of red waller who switched to Boris Johnson in 2019? Is it your kind of white van man? Who do you? What's the appeal of Farage to a Labourite when you consider that, by definition, Labourites are meant to be lefties and he's very much a righty?
Well, I think in the end, this is where I think Labour do have an opportunity, and I think Nigel Farage will come a cropper, because things he said in the past around different models for the NHS, where people, if you can afford it, would have to pay. Some of the sort of right-wing economic positions he's taken, they're not what the Labour voters of Barnsley and Bolsover are looking for. So at the moment, Nigel Farage is touring all these sorts of constituencies, even sort of claiming that he was pro the miners' strike and he liked certain trade union leaders. Well, I'm from the north. People aren't daft. They can smell. They can smell kidology a mile off.
Having said that, I was intrigued at the last Labour conference as to how many union people were sort of going to right-wing events, I would say, the Spectator Party and others, talking about how unhappy they were with Labour over, for instance, oil and gas licences in the North Sea, the idea that people are going to lose their jobs who work in the industrialised industries. I mean, he's got a point, hasn't he, if he channels his sort of inner J.D. Vance and tries to turn Reform into some kind of working man and women's party.
But I don't think he can in the end, because of his views on the NHS when he's talked about introducing... people don't want to pay 10 grand for a hip replacement. That's Nigel Farage's policy. I mean, I think that's a problem for him. And also, look, you've got all these Tories saying, like Robert Jenrick said it the other day, didn't he? Let's have some sort of alliance or some sort of deal with Reform. If Labour voters think at the next election that I don't actually think Kemi Badenoch will last the election, but whoever the Tory leader is going to go in and do a deal with...
We'll ask her that in a moment.
She's thinking without trace, but, a deal of
Well, she's not thinking without trace. Let's move on.
Farage and them lot in a coalition. Labour voters won't want that.
Let's move on to your... well, I suppose successor in a way, Wes Streeting, who's the Health Secretary, because she was Shadow Health. He's given an interview. I mean, he's talking about Nigel and Kemi being like alien versus predator, but I'm a bit more interested, actually, in his view on trans in light of the Supreme Court ruling. Now, Streeting has always been pretty solid on saying that trans women aren't women.
Yeah.
Starmer claims to be saying that he once said that, but he didn't say that, but he did, didn't he? I mean, Starmer, you must admit, you as a practical man who has, I think, good common sense and a former Shadow Health Secretary, so you presumably do understand biology, Starmer and co really got this wrong, didn't they? When they suggested things like women could have penises, we had David Lammy suggesting that a man could grow a cervix. It's embarrassing in retrospect, isn't it?
I mean, I wouldn't have said what David said there. But look, Wes has got... first of all, Wes is one of Labour's sort of star players on the pitch. To have a big write-up in the Sun and Sunday is important for a Labour politician ahead of a set of local elections.
This man is on manoeuvres.
I'm not suggesting his manoeuvres. I'm saying he's a good political operator. And I like a good political operator. I think he's one of our star players. And he's right. He's right to say that, to absolutely endorse the court. Of course, he would endorse it anyway. As you say, that was his position pre the court ruling. But he's now got to bring forward guidance for the NHS. When I was the Shadow Health Secretary, by the way, one of the campaigns I used to run was the fact that that Tory government had not got rid of mixed-sex wards. I used to run that campaign regularly.
But why hasn't the NHS already, we've had, say, for instance, the British Transport Police and other bodies come out and say, we've heard the Supreme Court, we were misinterpreting the law as it stood, we are now perfectly clear, here's the new guidance. The NHS is dragging its heels on it. I mean, it's really important. It couldn't be more important, could it? The hospital sphere and men identifying as women accessing female-only spaces.
Yeah, but he's saying he's bringing forward this guidance in the next couple of weeks, the next few weeks. So he's getting on with it. He's literally got his sleeves rolled up and he's getting on with the job.
All right, but do you agree with me that when Keir Starmer pretends that he always thought that women were women and men were men, he didn't, did he?
I'm a very loyal member of the Labour Party.
I know, but will you agree with me that he's slightly fibbing in suggesting, I was always saying that women were adult human females?
Well, he has said that.
But he also then said trans women are women.
He did say that women are adult females. He has said that.
Final, very quick question. As a party man, even if not a Labour MP at the moment, he should apologise to your former colleague, Rosie Duffield, shouldn't he?
I hope we can get to an arrangement where Rosie comes back into the Labour Party. I think the Labour Party is weaker if it doesn't have people like Rosie Duffield in it.
Amen to that. Jonathan Ashworth, thank you very much. A great paper review. We hope to see you again.